Spider's back! Point Pleasant Park. I could sit here till dark. But now the harbor gives me hope. Sail to the west coast. Everybody! I feel the sunshine on my mind. I feel the years going by. Feel the sunshine on my mind. There's no reason to cry. Just be glad you're alive. Yeah! Just be glad you're alive. Here we go! What I'm gonna do, that's Spider when he's 49 years old. There's my album, Wild Spider. That's my artist name. The Art of the Spider is the name of the album. All the artwork was shot in here. 19 songs. I played all the instruments, 8 instruments. I wrote everything, recorded everything, composed everything. Wrote all the songs, did all the vocals, did everything. In a homemade recording studio system I used to have, that went from 8 to 16 track. That's an ADAT, basically tape. Seriously, crazy. First time I ever did any recording with, like my soundboard was, my mixing board was really inexpensive, really, you know, and my studio mic was also, but I did it and I put it up. It's all up under Wild Spider, The Art of the Spider. All the songs are there and some bonus tracks as well. And I'm going to play a song, you know, in my next set too, I do, and play a few off the album, okay? Anyway, check it out. Anyway, I'm back, and this session is going to be on the Super Bowl. Stupid Super Bowl. NFL. Overrated, overhyped, overmarketed it, overpromoted, over everything. Players, overrated. Quarterbacks, overrated. The game, unbelievably overrated. It's basically outdoor arena NFL football Super Bowl of shit, of crap. And just like their rap crap halftime show was the worst disgrace ever. That's like, I just tuned in a bit and I read about it, and then there's sort of highlights. I guess Mamone's, he couldn't do anything. What did he have, 1 first down or 2 something in the first half? I don't know. It was just brutal. The game was brutal. And I'll tell you something. Okay, that's why we need a real top-notch new CFL commissioner, because I wish the hell I was his assistant and sit down with him, because I would tell him how to sell our game against the American game, the NFL game. And I'm going to go over that this session as well, how to do that and how it should be done. Not our balls are bigger. I mean, I was radical. That was okay, but nothing like that. Come on. Why our game is better, okay, than their game, and how it can be so much better, allowing the best players to play, getting rid of abolishing the Canadian Players Association, because you do that, you get rid of the Canadian ratio 2-1. Okay? Like, that's what you do. That's what they have to do. The owners have to do it. None of, look, and here's the problem. You get CEOs, like, and different people now running, like, that were Canadian ratio people. And like Miller in Winnipeg and in Calgary, and like, it's just, it's getting worse and worse, and it's getting worse. Canadian starting ratio is 8 now, and it's probably going to go higher. It's getting worse. They're going to fold if they don't make drastic changes and abolish the Canadian Players Association, made up majority, very carefully selected Canadian players, and they have a huge majority, okay, of the vote, and they have to be abolished. And because it's basically the Canadian Players Association / Canadian ratio, okay, organization that is running the CFL into the ground. Literally running the CFL with a gun against the owners' heads, right, and TSN's heads, and the CFL. It's just unbelievable what's going on. Listen, the owners have to run the CFL. The CFL has to run the CFL. Get a commission that will, okay? Abolish, like, shut down, bring down the Canadian Players Association with the Canadian ratio at the same time. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. And allow the best available players to play in the CFL. The Canadian players want to play, and they got to, no more 1-year contracts. No more. 2 years or 3 years. And guarantee, by the way, listen, this is the way it is. You can't get out of your contracts and go to the NFL. And that NFL window is going to be narrowed or eliminated completely. If they want to go to the NFL when their contract's out with the CFL. Then go to the NFL. This is just ridiculous. You can't have like a farm league and 35, 40 players every year jumping ship in the CFL, or what can go to the NFL, goes to the NFL because of the NFL window, which is really a long time, months and or more, and then, well, it is. It's 2.5 months or more from December through December 9th, January, February, like over 2 months, I believe. Anyway, it's ridiculous. It needs to go. They have to, listen, look, and by the way, paying these players more and more with empty stadiums is just insane. And salary cap going up another 4 is insane. And what they're paying is insane. You can't have them dictating to the CFL owners. The players can't be dictated. They can't be dictating to say 1-year contracts, okay? Okay? Well, no contract is worth anything. A CFL quarterback worth anything. Go to the NFL. Every player can. Every year. No, contract doesn't mean anything. You can't have a league run like that. You can't have a commissioner, CFL commissioner, that allows a league to be run like that. Mark Cohen never even said it. In the 100th Grey Cup, he said, "There's no, with me under my watch, there'd be no 1-year contract. There'd be 2, always, and I want 3. And if they don't want to play, sign the contract and honor the contract." And that's an honored contract. Same with quarterbacks. No getting out of the contracts. Then, when the contract's over, you want to go to the NFL, go to the NFL. That's the way it's going to be in the CFL. And the commission is going to force a law and change up. They need necessary changes. They need to allow the best available players to start and play in the CFL. Okay? They need to get rid of the 1-year contracts. They need to promote and market the game a lot better, with a lot better commission than how to run a business and promote a business and grow the business and grow the fan base and get more exposure and really sell the game. Okay? A real professional, a real sharp guy that's really on the ball, that's got a lot of good credentials and can do it. You got to go after the best. You're paying them $1 million practically. You got to go after the best. Okay, and get someone younger, and that can do the job and do a real job and put the CFL on the map again and on the world map, like Mark Cohen did. Go after Mark Cohen then. He's not as young as he used to, but he still can do the job. Go after him then. If you can't get somebody, go after him and make him commission the game. He'll do the job and he'll do it again, and probably even better. But anyway, the Super Bowl, it's terrible. And the reason it's terrible, because it's basically outdoor arena football. You see the big crowd, all the money they pay, $4,000 or $5,000 a ticket or more. It's insane. For what? To watch that garbage? It was garbage. and Mamones is a joke. Put him on a CFL field, see how good it is. You know what Crum said was on Ballsy. I like Ballsy. He got fired. He was a sports. He used to announce for sports cage the Rider games. He got fired. He used to be on the network. Then he got promoted to the announcer, game day announcer with sports cage for the Riders, and they fired him. But he has a uncut. And he has a little podcast, and he had Crumbs on, the backup quarterback for the Ottawa Redblacks. He's a smart guy. He was a good quarterback in the U.S., and he's American. And he was asked by Balls, he said, what do you think position's a better, more difficult position? CFL quarterback position? Because you see how he is struggling to make it as a starter. He did okay for a few games, but man, it's a tough game. Way harder than the NFL quarterback position, and that's what he said. Or in the NFL, he says the CFL quarterback position is way more difficult. And he played a lot of U.S. college football, and he said his American counterparts and people who play football may not like what I'm saying, but I'm going to tell you the truth. You know what he said? And this is what I've been saying all along. He said even Brady, you put him on a CFL field, he couldn't do anything. He would struggle really, really bad. It'd take him a long time. He said it's a way more difficult game. Like with the motion, with the yard off the ball, with the 20-second clock, you have to have a more accurate arm. A field that's 48% larger, by the way. 48%, do the math. 110 versus 100. 65 versus 53. 20 in the end zones versus 10. Do the math. Easy, calculate it. It's 48%. Exactly, that's the number. 48%, almost 50% larger. Okay, the waggle, the motion. Okay. Where you get hit because a yard off the ball, because the lineman can actually move, and the defensive, they can move, and that's why you need the best available O-lineman. You have to recruit the best, okay? Not 5 Canadian guaranteed O-lineman starters because to fill the Canadian ratio because their passport, and they're not even good enough to be there to protect the quarterback. That's why the CFL is so horrible. That's why the offense is so bad. That's why the quarterbacks get killed. And it's too many 2-and-outs. That's the main reason. But let's get back to the stupid bowl and the NFL, how it's overrated. Mamones, you get on a CFL field, you'll be a bum. You look like a high school quarterback. You look like a toothpick. You look like a bum. You look like you were stoned. Like on the camera at the Super Bowl, you looked high. You would they'd break you in two. You wouldn't be able to do nothing. That little tiny outdoor arena football like field, it's ridiculous. It's so tiny. What do you do? Get down if you can't get down in the red zone in the NFL at 4 downs, you should go home. Like every time you should. You should never have to kick it on 4th down. Never. And if you can't score a touchdown in the red zone, right, with 4 downs, you should go home. And when you get down there, there's no room, there's no width, and the end zone is so tiny, they can't even throw the ball. They almost have to underhand it. And some of the passes Mahomes made in the Super Bowl was just brutal. Like the little tiny 8-yard, 7-yard passes for interceptions. Imagine, he just moved his arm back this far. You can't move full back because you can't even throw it. Really, I mean, you should what 7-yard and that little field, you should really underhand it. A kid could underhand it. Really, sir, it's a joke. Their game is a joke. It's way overrated. We got to start selling our game like that fair catch bullshit. And their game stinks. It's terrible. It's so easy. It's ridiculous. It's an absolute. It makes me gag. Makes me gag. Our game is way more difficult. Way more and that's what Warren Moon even said. He was asked what quarterback position is more difficult, the NFL, and he played in both, right? Or the CFL. You know, he won Grey Cups, right? Numerous Grey Cups. He said the CFL position is more difficult. And it is. Quarterback position is way more difficult. The game's way more difficult. You know, with a 20-second clock. You have, in the NFL, you could actually not, even Doug Flutie said, actually not even play the game for 40 seconds. And they're doing that all the time. Bring it right down. 40 seconds, right down to the last second. Height. They don't have to even play the game. They can win the game. Don't even have to play it. The CFL, 20 seconds, you got to get the ball in the play. Motion, yard off the ball. Much bigger field, right? Way harder to throw the ball. I mean, and the angles for kicking, way more difficult to kick. Okay, a field goal, right? Then in the NFL, there's no angles. It's a joke. It's like if you can't kick a field in the NFL, you should go home. Right? They don't kick that many anyway. The game is so overrated. It's just the players are overrated. Like, if they're so good, why there's 36 Canadian players playing in the NFL, right? That's why they never should be Canadian ratio as well. And why are there, every year they take CFL players? How many years have been doing this? For decades and decades and decades, if they're so superior. They even go after Canadian quarterbacks, okay, that play college football in Canada and draft them, right? You know, it's just unbelievable. And that's why the Canadian ratio, what I call like bullshit Canadian CFL draft, has got to be abolished too. You need an open CFL draft, okay? The top Canadian players want to go to the NFL. They don't even want to even go to the combine, not even just a CFL draft. You can't have a league like this. It's embarrassing. That's it. There's no restrictions put on the players. They push the CFL around with the Canadian Players Association, and they're handcuffing, dictating, controlling Canadian ratio, and they basically run the league with it. And their Canadian passports, that they have destroyed the CFL. And they're the ones that want one-year contracts as much or more than American players to go to the NFL. They're not committed to the CFL. It's just a backup plan for them. Okay, and the rest of them that you know, the ones that go to the NFL or try to go and come back, and then the ones that aren't near as good enough to play in the CFL. Look at the Canadian roster ratio. Half the team will has to be Canadians, and 8 starters, and you need backups. These are all a lot of crumbs that are not even good enough. They have no business being on a CFL field, okay? And they're only there because of the huge Canadian roster ratio and the guaranteed 8 Canadian starter ratio with backup. It's ridiculous. It's got to go. The Canadian Players Association's got to go. Randy Ambrosie, you got to get out of the office. You got to go. You can't be there anymore. And the CFL owners, what the hell's wrong with you? Why did you have a new commissioner? Why don't you have a new commissioner in place? And the right commissioner. Go after Mark Cohen again. He'll do the job again like he did last time. Look at the stadiums were full with Mark Cohen. Look how he grew the game and the fan base. It was the game that he marketed, he sold it, he knew how to run it. He was a businessman. He's a good marketer, good salesman, well dressed, sharp, and he was a fantastic, probably the best commissioner we have. Go after him again. Bring him back. Okay? Do the fans and do the league a favor, and let's start selling our game. And by the way, here's how I'd sell our game over the NFL game. First of all, I call the NFL what it is, call it for what it is. It's overrated, it's overhyped, it's overmarketed, it's overpromoted, and the players are overrated, and the game's overrated. So I would make sure I get that out in the open, because it's true, it's factual. And you saw in the Super Bowl, Stupid Bowl, okay? It's crap, just like the halftime show, the rap crap. It was crap, all of it was crap, okay? The game is crap, it's a cinch, it's a joke. It's outdoor arena football, okay? Why our game is so much better? And by the way, it would be even a lot more, way better with my CFL Red Zone Bowl. And I meant to slot that in when I talked about how easy the NFL, if you can't score a touchdown with 4 downs in the red zone, you should go home. You really should. You can't throw the ball. You have to underhand it, really. I don't know why they're doing underhand. You can't throw it. It's a joke. That little wee end zone, tiny little field, and like 4 downs. And by the way, 2 downs in the CFL, it's not enough downs, okay, in the red zone, okay? It's not. 3 downs is the ideal, perfect number of downs to score a touchdown in the red zone, and especially in our game, with a CFL 3-down game with my SPYDER CFL Red Zone Bowl. That's how powerful my CFL Red Zone Bowl is, because it'll make a 3rd down a way more powerful and way more entertaining, a lot better down, and they're easy, almost, well, it's a given. 4th down, that they always practice the touchdown every time, right? In the NFL, or maybe on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Well, it's so easy down there, in the red zone with 4 down. But 3 downs, the ideal amount, perfect number down to be used in the red zone to score a touchdown, and that's where my SPYDER CFL Red Zone Bowl comes in. Because, and by the way, would it ever put a signature on a CFL 3-down game, football, and then on a 3rd down, and give it a real permanent purpose and meaning, and make it such a way more exciting, way more entertaining, and way more powerful down, way more significant down, our 3rd down in the red zone, my SPYDER CFL Red Zone Bowl, than the NFL, like guaranteed, basically a given 4th down in the red zone. But they can score a touchdown. Imagine 4 downs with that wee little field. Ours is 48%, sorry, larger than their little tiny little, geez, you need a magnifier to see it, outdoor arena football field. Can you see it, for God's sakes? You know, it's unbelievable. Anyway, our game is way better. Look, the receivers have to be way more athletic. The quarterback has to be way more athletic. But you need my CFL red zone rule in the red zone to really solidify our game. And it's tailor-made. It's naturally tailor-made for a CFL 3-down game. And it will really put a real signature on our 3rd down game of football. My SPYDER CFL red zone rule. It's a winner. It's got to be made part of a CFL 3-down game. And best available players got to be allowed, okay, to play. No more Canadian ratio. Our game is a lot better because the quarterbacks have to be more athletic. They got to have more accurate arm. They have to be able to scramble, move if they really want to be a bona fide, the best CFL quarterback. Also they have to be able to take a beating because they get hit. Not like the NFL, they pat you like Mamones, you know. You know, he could have his little bed there and have a nap and get up and throw the ball. It's just unbelievable. But they get hit. The receivers have to be more athletic. Like the defensive backs, like being on an island, they got to be way more athletic and acrobatic and go up there. And our game, the running backs have to be faster. The waggle, the full motion, it's a much better feature. The 20-second clock, 3-minute clock, like our overtime format's better. If we had no Canadian ratio and the best available players playing in the CFL at every position with my SPYDER CFL red zone rule and a new commissioner like a Mark Cohen, and we could really do, our game would really grow. And you got to sell our game against the NFL game. How the NFL game is so overrated. How our CFL game is a lot more exciting game, a lot more entertaining game, a lot faster game with the 20-second clock, and a lot more difficult game, and a much bigger field, 48% larger field with their tiny little outdoor arena football field. You got to tell it the way it is, and how easy it is to score a touchdown with 4 downs to get down the red zone, and then 4 downs in the red zone score a touchdown. Come on, it's a joke. And tiny little passes, and it's just such a cinch game. You got to really promote our game as a way like fair catch. Our special teams, they don't even have special teams. It's another big feature. Our special teams, don't change it. The CFL owners, don't change it. We actually have a special teams. We have punt returns for a touchdown. You never see that in the NFL. You know, fair catch and all that. Our special teams are a big part of the game. So you have offense, defense, and special teams. You don't have any special teams, practically any, virtually any in the NFL. So there's so many features. And if you take my super exciting, natural tailor-made for CFL 3-down football, SPYDER CFL red zone rule, with my 10 super features and benefits and an 18% guarantee of 50 more touchdowns scored in the red zone with my SPYDER CFL red zone rule, and what it can do. Just look at the super 10 super key features and benefits, selling features and benefits. Look what it can do. How much more exciting it will make a CFL 3-down game. And reduce 2 and outs. And they'll go for it more in 3rd down too. They're in the red zone. They get in the red zone. They'll play exciting CFL 3-down football with SPYDER CFL red zone rule. Yes, our game is a lot better. And our Grey Cup, by the way, they don't have any, what is a Grey Cup? Like promotions in our grocery stores. You're supposed to be Canadians, aren't you? Oh yeah, because Donald Trump wants to put tariffs on. Oh, after Trudeau and his gang ran his family and him into the ground and called him Hitler for 9 years. If I was Trump, I'd put 50% tariffs on. They don't buy. That's why our price is so high. Trudeau doesn't buy anything from the United States, and Trump is right. And by the way, all of a sudden we're so Canadian. We're so Canadian when Trudeau destroyed our country and we don't have any competition. He doesn't allow any products to come in. You can't get a better price in your internet. Doesn't allow American bank. Doesn't buy a little bit of dairy from Trump. Trump is right, and you know all of a sudden we're so Canadian, right? Oh yeah, because the radical leftist liberal networks that Trudeau got bought off. So Canadian, they don't give a shit. The Canadians about. They're not Canadian. TSN aren't Canadian, they're really an American company. They're not Canadian. Bell and Sportsnet and Rogers, they're not. They're supposed to be, but they're not. They're NFL. And the same with the Canadian sports fans. They're all practically all NFL. They're not patriotic. They don't support the CFL. Where's the big promotions in the grocery store and the Grey Cup? Where the Grey Cup, the first time it's been on CTV in almost 30 years. And you say you're patriotic, you're Canadian? And you boo the American national anthem? Well, the Americans in class enough, they didn't really boo. A tiny little bit of boo. Alanis Morissette played Trudeau, like attack, with our national, changing the words. Attack. Are you kidding me? They didn't boo. They didn't boo the Canadian national anthem. They didn't boo the Canadian players. You have no class. You're so-called Canadians. You're not Canadians, and you're a bunch of separatists in Montreal where you boo the American national anthem. Listen, you know what? I'm Canadian. I'm real Canadian. That's why I'm trying to help have the CFL survive, like my role. Just be glad you're alive. Well, just be glad you're alive and so we can survive. The CFL has to survive. And they have to change, make necessary, needed changes that are crucial. They need to make them. They need to make them. Like now, they got to abolish the Canadian Player Association and the Canadian ratio. They got to abolish the one-year contracts. And abolish, also, they can't have contracts that you can get out of every year. You got to honor your contract, right? You got to bring in Spiders, the biggest rule ever adopted by the CFL. My Spider CFL Reds Arm rule. The most dramatic, the most exciting, the most innovative, most entertaining, most exciting, deluxe, super natural entertainment for a CFL 3-0 game. My Spider CFL Reds Arm rule will be the biggest rule ever adopted in the CFL and all professional football. And it'll blow the NFL their fourth down right out of the water. And Randy Ambrosie's hash pipe, gimmicky little hash pipe rule, what a joke. It'll destroy that. It'll blow it out like you wouldn't believe it. It'll eat it for lunch, Randy Ambrosie, and get out of the office, okay? Look, let's get a new commissioner like a Mark Cohen, and let's get this ball rolling. By the way, he'll be getting my CFL Reds Arm Rule presentation in mail. And I hope he calls me, and because my CFL Reds Arm Rule is a natural. It's tailor-made for a game, and it's gonna put our CFL 3-down game on the map, and it'll be the biggest rule ever adopted by the CFL and of all professional football. Spider, Hick and Spider CFL Reds Arm Rule. Okay? Anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe, please.